There's a mission on every man's life. The problem is the mission doesn't stop when you do. And the reason I call this Mission Impossible, this episode, The Cost of Not Leading, you know how at the beginning of Mission Impossible, at the beginning, back in the day, we watched that show and the little recording would have smoke. You remember? It would disintegrate, but before it did, it would always ask the question. Or it was a statement wrapped in a question. And it would say, this is your mission if you choose to accept it. But this one, you don't get to decline. You might ignore it. You might delay it. But you don't get to escape it. This episode, it shows the danger. It exposes the void. It creates pressure. And if you're listening right, it should make you say, man, I need to step up. Now let's talk about why. Because here's what really happened when leadership goes missing at home, in your family, even in your own life. Something else steps in, right? And that something else doesn't ask questions, doesn't ask for permission, and it doesn't even come with accountability. As a matter of fact, it'll run your life like it pays the bills. And to understand that, we've got to understand leadership. Leadership isn't something you're born with. It's not genetics. It's not DNA. Well, at least it hadn't been proven. It's developed. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Leadership grows level by level, step by step, which means if you're not developing it, then you're defaulting. I mean, you're defaulting to something, believe it or not. And default mode, yeah, believe it or not, we've seen the version of that in our own lives, right? Now, let's take this out of theory and bring it into context. Let's bring it into real life. I was reading something this morning out of Shreveport, Louisiana. A city councilman, Grayson Butcher, was speaking about domestic violence and an incident that happened there. And he said over 30% of their crimes, of their murders, come from domestic situations. Domestic, 30%. In this case, homicides more than double from one act. They called it evil and said without intervention, it's only going to get worse. And we keep acting surprised, like we don't know where it's coming from. They also said we can build more stations, we can add more cars, we can put more policemen on the street, we can throw more money at it, but until we stop the cycle, it's only going to get worse. And when you really look at all of this in its totality, this is actually why WHOY, the acronym WHOY, what I talk about, matters. Because when we talk about leadership, we like to point outward, don't we? But leadership doesn't start out there. It starts with you. And as men, man, we got to own that. We have got to own that. We have got to own that. You got to lead your thoughts. I mean, that's where it starts in the mind. That's why scripture talks about your mind needing to be stayed on him. Because when that happens, now you can lead your emotions. You can lead your decisions. Because when you have your mind stayed on him, guess what? Every time, every time I have a whack thought, and I have them on occasion, he steps in between that thought and me every time. But let's be real. When you don't have him, how do you do that when you're broken? And we're all broken in some way or another. We're just trying to heal. We're just trying to become whole, right? We're just trying to be better. I mean, but how do you do that when nobody's taught you how to process? And you've been carrying anger, normalizing dysfunction. I mean, no de-escalation mentality, no conflict resolution at all. See, when you see that, and you see it, I know you do, because you see it in your own life, those times when you fly off the handle. This is where the work comes in. Whoa, work harder on yourself. It's not about perfection. It's about repair. You can't leave from a place that you haven't healed from. There's no way. And before I go any further, if this is hitting close to home, if you feel unsafe, or if you're in a toxic or abusive situation, don't try to figure it out alone. Get help, man. Get help, sister. Get a plan, because leaving can be the most dangerous time. A friend of mine, Dr. Conti Terrell, founder of Fresh Spirit Wellness, supports victims, both men and women. Because abuse is, they don't accept it. And no matter who it comes from, men or women. And men go through it. I mean, we suffer a lot of things in silence, don't we, man? But that's a topic for another episode. But I want to extend you the courtesy of giving you her contact information. So if you have a pen, write this down. 713-300-2473, extension 702. If it's you or someone you know, please reach out. Please. You know, the cost of not leading doesn't start out there. It starts within. It's going to be hard to lead, because you can't lead yourself. If you can't lead yourself first, then you can't lead anything else. And stop looking at other people. Everybody you see that is a leader now was once a follower. I promise you that. So you can acquire the skill set to lead. You just have to have the passion. And your appetite can't lead you. That's going to be a problem. So we've got to learn how to vet, how to choose, how to discern. Because once you become healthy, you recognize health when you come across it, and you recognize unhealthy when you come across that. And you're not choosing based off of attraction. See, when you get healthy, you're not looking at, well, you might be, but big butt, smooth skin, pretty face. That's not your itinerary, your agenda. And you know, they taught us not everything that looks good is good. So now you're choosing based on alignment. And alignment doesn't lie, even when attraction does. I won't go into fake, whatever. You know the drill. But let me be real. I know I still have some Riverwood in me. Not a lot, some Brewster Street, Fifth Ward in me. Don't act like I'm by myself, please. But I'm working. I'm working harder on myself. Because if I don't, I know I'll revert back to impulse, back to anger, back to flesh. And for some, that's back to guns and violence. And we don't need that. So I want you to hear me. Bad relationships don't start with arguments. They start in here, in your mind, in your discernment, in your lack of peace. Work harder on yourself. That's the umbrella. Everything else falls under that. Leadership, relationship, health and fitness, emotional resilience. All of it. Because if you're not working on yourself, your emotions, they'll lead you. Your trauma will lead you. Your impulse will lead you. The work you don't do on yourself will show up in every relationship you have or will have. You know why? Because in every relationship, you're there. You have to bring you to the relationship. So woe isn't about grinding harder. No, it's about becoming better. So there are 3 books that I want to recommend. I want to recommend to you. One is mine, The Lion's Den, The 4 Pillars of Male Success. The other one is by Dr. Maxwell, John Maxwell. I mentioned it earlier, The 5 Levels of Leadership. And then there's one by Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL. It's called Extreme Ownership. I don't just go out and buy these books. I mean, read them. Some of y'all got books right now. Decoration only, right? So let me show you what this looks like in real life. I want to give you an example. I was dealing with something recently with my son at school. This is my adopted son. Got caught vaping in the bathroom. All right? Now here's the part. I'm present. I'm involved. He goes to church with me every Sunday. He's seen me teach the General Assembly, right? We talk, we dialogue. I talk to him. I got him. I should be the example. I'm leading. And it still happened. Let that sit. Now, a lot of men don't really want to talk about this part because we think and we've been led to believe if I lead right, everything should turn out right. That ain't real. Because at some point, your leadership meets their choices. How about that? And they don't always choose what you taught. But here's what I realized. That doesn't mean you stop leading. Okay? You don't say, well, I tried, so I'm done. I'm out. No. You lean in even more. I put my thumb on him even more now. You correct, you teach, you stay present, because the leadership is not about control, it's about consistency. So even when it goes wrong, you still lead. Because if you don't, something else will. I promise you, something else will step in and lead for you. Oh, and just so you know, he's been taken out of school, being homeschooled, and about to go to work. That's where we at. And you guys, y'all know me. I tried to play pretty much everything that had a ball in school at some point. I would love for him to play something. He asked me the other day, would I put him in AAU basketball? Nope. We're not rewarding bad behavior. You think you're going to vape in school and I'm going to pay for you to go to AAU? Basketball, it ain't gonna happen. So that's where we at right now. And that's what made me think about something deeper. Leadership doesn't stop with you, it carries through you. Leadership travels. Floyd Henderson, his mission didn't stop when he did. My dad used to tell me all the time, the only thing you can take from this life are the things you leave behind. Well, what did he leave behind, Mr. Henderson? Me, K.R. Henderson, and everything that he put in me. So let me ask you, what are you leaving behind? Whether you meant to or not. You don't pass down names. That's not what we passing down. We thinking we pass down names. No, man. You pass down direction. Now, let me circle back to Mission Impossible. You know how they say, this is your mission if you choose to accept it? When I was watching the movie and the show back then, I used to think that was optional, right? Like you could just sit there and say, hey, I'm going to sit this one out. Yeah. Nah. This one, you don't get to sit out. This one don't work like that. You don't get to decline it. You don't get to avoid the consequences. So the question really isn't, do you have a mission? It's, do you accept it or avoid it? Because avoiding it doesn't cancel it. It shows up later with interest. Now listen, gentlemen, fellas, champions, my good men. Even if you lead, that doesn't guarantee the outcome. At some point, the choice isn't yours anymore. Leadership requires a level of balance, truth, and love. You need structure repeated long enough to actually force change. I'm K.R. Henderson. Second wind, truth with oxygen. Remember, you're not late. You're assigned.